Hey everybody, it's John with the Simplest Biz. Got a real treat for you today. I'm on a Zoom call with Tom Hinson from Greenville, South Carolina. And I wanted to introduce Tom. Say hello, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Yeah, good. Hilarious.
I couldn't help it.
So Tom, we're going to kind of go through what your process has been going through the training with the Simplest Biz and what's been happening with you in your business and all, when you got in and all that. So let's start from the beginning. Where do you think you first heard about this to begin with, the Simplest Biz training and all?
I can tell you exactly what happened and when it happened.
Okay.
In March of last year, it was on a Friday night. My wife and some of her lady friends were going out to get a meal and to go watch a chick flick.
Yeah.
So I was at home and I was just schlepping around on Facebook, and this ad popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy with an Alabama baseball cap on and a polo shirt, and he's talking about pallets. And I'm thinking, why in the world am I getting an ad about pallets? What's this? And it was you, of course.
Well, it was an Auburn hat. It wasn't an Alabama hat, I can guarantee that. But go ahead.
Sorry. I knew it was a college cap on. So
gotcha.
So I'm watching this video and I'm thinking, what is this? Talking about pallets. Why am I getting this? But anyway, I kind of powered through it, and I say that sarcastically. But no, that Facebook ad video really interested me, and I stayed with it. And the more I listened, I thought, this is very interesting. And you had talked about some of your YouTube videos, so I started looking at your YouTube videos, and I probably watched 4 or 5 or 6, and then I began to think, this is brilliant. And I woke up the next morning and I started thinking about pallets. And so I live in Greenville, and I was so interested in what you were saying that while I was driving around Greenville, my head was on a swivel. And literally everywhere that I went, I mean, I'm 64 years old. I've seen pallets, but I'd never seen pallets.
Yeah, you're blinded to them. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it does happen.
Yep. And then I'm driving around Greenville and I'm seeing pallets everywhere. And then I start making notes about places that I see pallets, and I just kept thinking about pallets, and it was crazy. I think this is ridiculous. So I was making notes about pallets, and then I started thinking, well, I want to call this John Wilker. But before I do, I want to keep looking around. And so I made notes, and I started taking pictures, and I started taking videos of places around Greenville that had big stacks of pallets.
Yeah, due diligence, right?
Yeah. And then I called you, and you and I probably hogged up an hour of your time on the phone. And I thought, this is brilliant. Now my background is this. I used to run a private security company. I'm from Myrtle Beach originally. And back in the 70s, I ran a security company. I was a firearms trainer and a director of operations, and we had about 80 armed officers, and we had about 60 corporate accounts. And then in the early 80s, I segued into, I went to work for a national company as an insurance claims investigator.
Right.
And then I segued in, I became I was the claims manager for the 13 southernmost counties of Mississippi. And then a good friend of mine back in Myrtle Beach was a New York Life agent. He said, we need some agents back in Myrtle Beach. So I went to work for New York Life, and I was with them for several years. And then I took over a large independent agency in their insurance department.
Yeah.
And then in 1997, both my parents died, and I was a sole inheritor of both estates. We had some resources, and my family background was in the hotel, motel, bed and breakfast industry. And my wife and I found 16 glorious acres in the North Carolina mountains on a river, and we bought the oldest house in the county that dated back to the 1700s, and we turned it into a bed and breakfast.
Nice.
We owned and operated it for 17 years, and then we sold it 5 years ago and moved back to our home state of South Carolina. So pretty much retired, but I had some side things, some side gigs going on. So I have
Right.
kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I don't have a problem with meeting people, and I have no problem with calling people and so forth. So,
Hey, hold on just a second. We got a little bit of audio issue.
okay.
It's like, did you hit anything? I'm not sure.
How about that?
There it is. It's better.
Okay. So when I found the Simplest Biz opportunity and course, I thought, this is, for me, it was a brilliant thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called you, talked to you for a while, and I had some underperforming stocks that I wanted to dump.
Right.
I got your course, and the course, people would expect me to say this, but it's absolutely true. You have put together a course that has been a huge blessing to me.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Tom. And I, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that. Actually, the second version of the course is out now, and combining that course with the Facebook group as well, I think we're giving people a more information than you can handle, really. I mean, there are a lot of different avenues to go in with this type of business. So that makes me feel good. Now, I'm so glad I did it in the first place. I kept it under my hat for years. So you got the course, and I guess you dove in. And one thing I wanted to touch on, we get a lot of people from all different backgrounds. Insurance, he was in the hotel or the bed and breakfast industry, and we get teachers and nurses and financial planners and truck drivers. It's a wide range of folks that are, for whatever reason, in a situation in their life that they can see this. This is maybe the one thing they've seen that, hey, I can see myself doing it, because it's straightforward. Now, you got to know your stuff, but it's straightforward. But I just found that interesting because of all the wide variety of things that you've done and the other students have done as well. So you got the course, and tell me what happened after that point.
Well, let me say this about the course. You have produced a course of a track that we can run on, that we can follow. And, I talk to some people about this, and they say, is this like multi-level marketing or something like that? No, not at all. This is a viable business model. It is a simplest business model. So back to your question, when I was doing my due diligence and looking at places that had pallets piled up before I even called you, I bought the course, and you mentioned something in the course that has nothing to do with selling pallets.
You're going to be a little cryptic on this one, aren't you?
well, I have to be, because I'm sure that's kind of proprietary in the course.
Right.
But I remembered a place that I had gone by, and I thought about one aspect of the course that you mentioned. And I went by this business, and I had some business cards printed up real quick. And I gave the business card. I talked to a warehouse manager. I said, look, you got this situation on your property. It's pretty bad. Or it's pretty interesting to me. And he passed my card on to the owner. And I thought, well, I'm going to give the owner a call in a couple of days. Well, the owner called me.
Nice.
And said, I want to talk to you about something. And I said, great. Met with him. And kind of long story short, I provided a service for this owner about 6 business days after I bought the course. And I paid for half of my course within 6 days.
Now, is that a recurring situation as well, this particular one? Nice. Yes. And that's where the gold is, people. It's the recurring properties of all the different slivers of money, or slivers. There's a lot of different niches inside this training as well. So there's a lot of different avenues to help people. And the other caveat that I hear you saying is when you approach these businesses, they're having problems. That we're here to help these businesses. This is not a sales job, really. This is a solution problem solving job. And if we have the right solutions, it works, is the way it's happened for me and a lot of students. And it sounds like in this situation, what happened with you as well.
Well, I have I have several customers who I provide this service for, who tell me, keep an eye on my property, and when you think it's time, you call me.
Sweet.
They're leaving it up to me.
You're dictating when you get to work then, kind of. That's nice.
Right. And so I've got 3 properties, right, at least 4 that I keep an eye on. And
right.
so anyway, I have to be kind of cryptic. But
it's okay. That's in the course, people.
For anybody who's watching this, I have to be careful about this. But anyway, it has nothing to do with selling anything.
Right.
It's been very profitable for me.
Yeah.
And it's in your course, and you talk about it in your course.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you do.
It's a nice sliver of an action. It's weird, I have some people that concentrate on, brokering. I have people that concentrate on the point A to point B. So there's a lot of different slivers in the pie, like I was saying earlier, to act on. And then of course, we're multiplying that out. If you start getting, and you eventually do this too, Tom, is start moving in toward, doing pallets to begin with, and it bleeds into corrugated boxes or crates or dunnage and all that type of stuff as well.
IBC totes.
Exactly. There's all kinds of crazy stuff where you have one account and you're selling multiple items, so you get multiple revenue streams per one account. That's reoccurring. So our job after we get it set up is just repeating that process with that same customer. So we're not out there having to figure out what's our next, how are we going to put food on the table next week? Well, they run out of stuff and order again. So that's why I've always loved it, myself.
Well, let me interject this.
Sure.
I did a brokering deal with a company, and the operations manager said, I've got some steel and plastic drums back here that I need to get rid of, that they're taking up space. You want to take a look at them? I said, yep.
Yep.
And he took me back in the warehouse. He's got these glorious steel drums.
Nice.
Magnificent plastic drums. And I couldn't take them right then, but I've got a prospect who probably will want to pay, I don't know, 15, 25, 30 bucks for them.
A pop, yeah.
So, we can deal with pallets and dunnage and plastic drums and metal drums and cardboard boxes and pallets and some other things that people say, hey, do you sell these? And I said, or wooden reels. And so it's crazy. I tell people, I tell other people who are interested in your course, this is a crazy, magnificent business. And I say that in all sincerity and genuinely, because I'm amazed at how, when I call on people at businesses who are in charge of buying pallets, I'm amazed at how the open doors just open up for me, opportunities open up for me. And I've had a couple of these guys, these warehouse managers say, man, where have you been? We've been looking for somebody like you. I said, well, I just started last year, but here I am.
Right. It's a very underserved niche, and the competition, you've probably seen some of these yahoos out there as far as competition goes. And there's every once in a while, you'll see somebody out there that's got some kind of game, but the lay of the land is most of them they don't know what they're doing, and they're probably doing it wrong, and they're not really solving the problems. They're scavengers. A lot of them are. So if you learn it the right way, exclusivity on supply, and then knowing all the other, like what you're doing, some of the cryptic things we're talking about, we're tethering ourselves in different ways to the business and becoming a better solution for them. And there's a lot of irresponsible people out there that don't have a lot of business sense doing this, which puts us in a good position if you got some game and you're able to communicate like Tom, to go out there and actually solve these folks' problems. And that's what the course is about, to get you prepared to be able to set this deal up. Once the repeat process is easy. You're doing this solo, right?
Yes.
Right. I got you. What else could you speak about the Facebook group a little bit, just to give people an idea of what's going on in there? Because we have the training as well, but a big part of this as well is that group, that private group.
Well, the private group, probably what 300 plus people in there right now, people from all over the country that are doing this. And
they're all over the
Facebook
planet,
group,
actually, by the way. Just, I mean, they're all over the planet.
You've got people in India and
Yeah.
Australia, and I think in Europe.
Yep. The guy called me from London yesterday, and I hadn't talked to him since he got the course, just off.
Yeah.
And I pick up the phone, and he said, "John, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." He said it like 16 times with his English accent. And it was a lot of fun. I talked to him, and he's kicking butt right now, even with what's going on. But go ahead.
Talking about the worldwide thing, I don't know if you remember, but I was in Israel last April for about 17 days. And I was pumping gas, and I heard all this machinery sound. I thought, what is that? I walked over to this fence, and I looked over a fence, and there's guys in forklifts with pallets, loading them into a warehouse in Israel. And I think I recorded it, I videoed it. And I sent
You did.
You got pallets. Are these your pallets? These are pallets over here near the Sea of Galilee. So you got people all over the country. But back to the private Facebook group, I found it to be a real inspiration and edification because some of us will post pictures or videos of opportunities that we found or jobs that we're doing, and stacks and stacks of pallets. And of course, students will post questions in there, ask questions about what about this and what about that. Even though you've mentioned it in your course, there might be something that somebody has missed, and they'll ask a question on the Facebook group. And I mean, everybody starts answering, piling in. So there's real camaraderie, in the group. People say, well, it's like family. Well, no, this is better than family. This is camaraderie, where people are encouraging each other and reminding each other about what you've got in the course. And once in a while, there's some odd situations that we confront out in the field that we might need some additional information about. And of course, you answer. You're in there as much as you can be. But people from all over the country are adding in and making comments and saying, "Good job, and man, that's awesome. How did you do this?" I found an odd size. I found an odd size pallet. Like I found a 36 by 120 inch pallet. Who's selling those, or who's buying those? So the Facebook group is literally excellent, and it's fun, and it's good to see that other people are doing well around the country right now.
And you got some ideas from students that I hadn't even done before as well. So you're getting all this knowledge base that people have tried, like the guy out in California who's doing wine barrels. I live in Alabama. Maybe I do, but but he was incorporating that into there. And then there was these strange brokering deals where, there's been some really cool ones where I can't even describe it. Trucks are being dropped off, and there was a deal. It was all hands off type situation, thousands and thousands of pallets, and they're getting their cut and all that. But I put it mildly, I have some really smart students, including you, Tom, out there doing some really cool stuff, and everybody sharing that information. It's just a joy to watch.
Well, let me mention here what I thought was an odd situation. I was having some pallets loaded on my truck one day. A man comes up to me and says, "Do you sell pallets?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, well, he introduced himself. He was starting a new business. He said, well, I'm going to need some pallets here in about 2 months when I get my business going. He said, but it's kind of an odd shaped pallet. And I said, what is it? He said, I need a 48-55 four-way. He said, do you have any of those? And I said, well, I knew I didn't, but I said,
right. Let
me check with some of my suppliers and see. And a couple of weeks later, I was scouting an area, and I saw some pallets behind the fence. So I stopped in, introduced myself, and I said, who do I need to talk to you about your pallets? And he said, Ed. And I said, Ed here? Yeah, Ed comes out and introduces himself. And I said, hey, I'm Tom Hinson. Got a little pallet business here in Greenville, Palmetto Pallets Plus, and I was driving by your place here, and I saw these pallets out here, and I was curious, what are you doing with these pallets back here? He said, do you want them? I said, yeah. He said, come on back here. He walks me through the warehouse and he's showing me everything he's got back there in his warehouse. He takes me back to the back and he's got a stack of pallets back there. And guess what he has? He has exactly
the same size you need.
My prospect wants. I'd never run across them before. My prospect needed 100 of them.
Right.
So I got all of Ed's pallets and sold them to my customer for $12 a pop.
Nice.
Okay. Well, kind of an odd situation occurred that my supplier doesn't get those in anymore. So I told my customer. He said, "Oh," and I said, "Fear not. I'm on the hunt here for you." So I actually brokered a deal where I'm not getting 12 anymore. I'm getting $2 a pop for these. Okay.
But it's passive.
But I still keep my customer happy.
Right.
Listen to this. So my customer that I was selling pallets to and now brokering pallets, we delivered more pallets to him. He said, let me show you these other pallets that I get in that I can't use and see if you want them. So he's getting 45s in. He's getting product in that he on these pallets that he has to use, but he can't use them. He said, "Can you use these pallets?" I said, "Yeah." Yeah. And so I'm selling those pallets to a company that I've got in here for about $5 a pop. But anyway, so my buyer is a supplier.
I love that. Those are great. That makes you so much more efficient as well. A lot of times you're delivering pallets to a business, and then after they get the pallets they need off, they're loading stuff on, whether it be pallets or corrugated boxes, and then you just go to next, point C or whatever, A to B to C, and it makes your life simple. Yeah. It's a simple life, And is that a normal cycle for that business? I mean, are they ordering on a normal basis?
Yeah. Okay. My customer has bought 2 new machines, so his production is going to either double or triple here in the next month.
Gotcha. Nice.
So we haven't gotten to this point yet, but the brokering part of your course, crazy.
Yeah, we heard the other day from one of our students, 80,000 crates, a broker in your next day. And this is with this going on with this COVID, this will date it and all this video if it's out there a year from now. But, a student called me the day after that, working on a 50,000 pallet a year order as well. So it's day after day. Students, because I got them spread far and wide, of setting these deals up. And that 80,000 crate thing, that was 3 phone calls. And he didn't have to move them. He didn't have to, it's set up and it's on year after year after year. So there's some massive deals out there available to the students and all. I guess, what else could we go over real quick? Maybe.
Can I tell you about my brokering, my last?
Sure, yeah.
My last brokering situation. This is a tremendous part of the course. I went by a business, saw literally hundreds of pallets stacked up behind the fence, found out who to call on. This was a couple of months ago, met with him. His name is Mike. I said, "How many pallets y'all buying a month?" He said, 1,000. Well, he said, "No, he's buying 1,000 a week." I said, I don't have that much supply, but I have a business relationship. He said, "Well, give me some prices." Got some prices, added a little bit on for me, passed it on to Mike. He says, "Deal." So, and they're ordering 1,000 a month of 3 different sizes, but I'm getting a piece of 500 a month right now. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about another place. I'm getting a piece of 500 a week. I'm getting a piece of 2,000 pallets a month.
Right.
And that's just half of what he's buying. We still got a shot at the other place. So I'll just tell you, my income from that one is about $250, $300 a week.
Right.
And I'm not having to deliver.
Recurring. Right.
It's recurring. So week
that's
after
$12,000 a year for a setup, or $13,000, $14,000 if they're ordering on a weekly basis type of thing. And you
in 2
stack
hours.
those up on top of each other, and it's a lot of money, folks.
Well, that's basically 2 hours of work for me.
Right, right.
So I'm working on another case where they're buying 1,000 a month, and I think we're about 98% close to getting there. So I'm still selling pallets, of course, to my customers, but I'm also wanting to increase my brokering business too, and I'm also doing this other thing that some people call me the king of.
Yeah, you got a reputation in the group for it. That's true. I love it.
That has nothing to do with selling at all. So the simplest biz is really that. It's a simple, you have created a simple business model and laid down a track for us to run on. And for people who have got some get up and go and some work ethic and don't mind getting out there and enjoying life and talking to people and looking for deals. This is one of my nerdy hobbies. Is I'm a metal detectorist.
Oh,
I've got a waterproof metal detector that I can take down 100 feet underwater. Of course, I've got a regular above ground one, and I enjoy the search. I enjoy the hunt, and I enjoy finding stuff. Well, the simplest biz is kind of like metal detecting. It's the thrill of the hunt. But I find more with the simplest biz than I find with my nerdy hobby.
I love it. So we can wrap this up. And what would be the biggest piece of advice you could give people who, they're not in this yet and they're looking at it from afar and trying to say, what pallets, what could you say to those folks just to kind of give them, and you've said a lot already, but to give them some insight on what they should be doing now and thinking about?
I would recommend to them to do what I did. They're now familiar with this opportunity. They understand this has to do with selling pallets. Well, 99% of the pallets that I sell, I get for free. So the pallets are out there, but do due diligence, go around your area and look, just drive around your area to business places and look to see look for pallets, look for big stacks of pallets, and keep your head on a swivel. Now I had pallet eyes, and now they'll have pallet eyes too. But to look for pallets, and they'll see the opportunity in their area.
Right.
There's no they have no competition. That is a general statement. There's no competition.
Actually, the way we're going about doing this as well. There's some people out there doing it wrong and scavengers and looking for one style of pallet and all that, but
they're not doing a business.
They're not doing
a business.
No, they're just trying to get beer money.
They're finding a few pallets and throwing in the back of their truck, and they're taking them off and selling them for $1 or $2
to a pallet yard.
That's not what this is.
Right.
This is a business, and it's a going business. It's a viable business. It's a simple business. It has been a profitable business for me.
Well, Tom, man, I really appreciate you getting on here. You're one of my favorites in the group. And you're a straight shooter, and when I'm busy as well, you've had talked to my students on top of it, and you're active in the group, and I want to thank you for that. And anybody out there listening to this, if you get in, Tom's out there to help you as well, and so am I, of course. But we're all in this together. If you get in there, it's a big happy family, and we want to watch everybody succeed. Any last thing, Tom?
I want to tell everybody this, that this is about you, John. You're the real deal too. I've gotten to know you fairly well over the last year, and I see your heart and I've seen your mind that you're selling a course, okay, but you're providing a course to people because you want to see them do well too. You want to see people have more time to do whatever they want to do. You want people to have more income, and that leads to freedom and some peace of mind, and it's an enjoyable business too. You want people to have a piece of life that you enjoyed, and you provided a course that helps us to do that. And I appreciate that.
I appreciate those words, Tom.
Been a blessing to me.
Well, and y'all have been a blessing to me, being able to, you know, I guess for the longest time I was selfish in a way. I don't know. I was just keeping it under my hat. This is so cool, you know, for years and years. And I realized that you get a point in your life, well, man, you know, I don't have to have all the fun. I can certainly, you know, share this with others. And I'm so glad I did, because it's changed lives, and you know, it's given me a really strong purpose, to another layer of purpose besides helping my own customers out, because I still do this. But I appreciate you and all the students that are out there that put faith in me and jumped on board and are out there, you know, make it happen after learning what they need to learn to make it happen the right way. Because that's what it's about. This is about serving businesses in the right manner and helping them out. These are problems that these businesses are having. And people like Tom are out there doing the work and being the problem solvers and the solutions to their issues, you know. So I appreciate your time, Tom, and we will, of course, keep in touch like we always do. So we appreciate y'all staying with us and listening to this, and hopefully, you know, go to the simplestbizforyou.com if you're interested, and do your due diligence and research and go from there. All right.
Yeah, I'll say, y'all need to buy this course.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm serious.
I didn't pay him to say this.
No, I don't get, no, you're not, I'm not paid anything. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
I've told a lot of friends about it, and I mean, this is real, and I appreciate it. So, have a great day. Thanks a lot for letting me come on and run my mouth for a while.
All right. Thank you, Tom. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your day. Stay safe and wash your hands.
Always.
All right.